Hi there guys, welcome to BoxPred and thank you for tuning in. There's a couple of fights I wanted to get covered for this weekend. Looking forward to them. The first one I want to talk about is for the WBO World Welterweight title. Sees Jesse Vargas going up against Manny Pacquiao. If I'm not mistaken, Vargas is the current title holder. Really good fights to be happening. Two top guys. And I'm picking Manny Pacquiao to win this fight by a decision. And I think what it's going to come down to in basic terms is just energy and sharpness. Vargas, don't get me wrong, Vargas is he's a good boxer. He throws good 1-2 combinations in particular. But I just feel like he doesn't have the energy and that focus that is required against a guy like Pacquiao. And I don't think, well, we'll see, but I think that he's sometimes limited to 1-2 punch combinations, and especially if he's up against a guy who dictates a fight like Pacquiao can. These two guys have a common opponent in Timothy Bradley, and Vargas lost the decision to Bradley. I think what it comes down to is that urgency, like I mentioned. I think it's the energy that Pacquiao brings into the ring. He's going to look like the guy, assuming that he comes in like I expect him to, he's going to look like the guy who he's the better mover. He's got better footwork, in my opinion. Therefore he's set up to get onto the attack and onto the defence a lot more quicker than Vargas is. I just think Vargas is going to look a bit cumbersome next to Pacquiao. I really do. I think even though he's the younger guy in this fight, and he's the guy you'd expect to be at the peak of his game, I think he's coming up against a guy in Pacquiao who is not only is he experienced at the very top level, and that counts for a lot. He's going up against a guy who is still, even though he's aging, he's still very alert. You look at him last time out earlier this year against Timothy Bradley, their second fight, which he won the decision, which in my opinion he won the decision clearly in the first fight anyway. He was the aggressor for a lot of the fight. He was pushing and putting pressure on Bradley. And he was really forcing the pace. He looked very alert, very sharp. He was throwing really good combinations, as he always does. If you're going to get into exchange with Pacquiao, you don't want to leave yourself open. Vargas does that quite a lot. He'll throw punches and his chin will be in there, and I think Pacquiao will be there for Pacquiao to go for the taking. In terms of landing clean shots, and I think that while it should be a competitive fight, I just think from Vargas' point of view, what he needs to do is he needs to take it a bit easy early on and sort of suss this guy out and don't open himself up too much to allow Pacquiao to get on the front foot. He needs to ease himself into the fight, and I think that as the fight progresses, leave it at 2 or 3 rounds, and then as the fight progresses, he needs to start using his size and using some sort of physical dominance and trying to impose physical advantage. Because the one concern I have really for Pacquiao in this fight is size difference. There's a marked size difference for me. If you look at them together next to each other, Vargas clearly has the height and reach advantage in this fight. The thing is, Vargas is, to me, he's not an inside or an outside really. He's kind of an in-between type of fighter who his movement doesn't really allow him to get away from you or necessarily get in on you if you're fleet-footed like Pacquiao is. So he's going to be kind of mid-range and mid-ground. And for me, it's going to be Pacquiao's fight to dictate because of that footwork, because of his ability to jump in and jump out. We watch Pacquiao, he can get in and throw one shot and get straight back out. It's kind of like he assesses with one punch whether he feels there's an opening or whether it's too risky to throw the rest of the combination. And he did it against Bradley last time out. He'll go in, he'll throw one punch, and then it's kind of like he feels that's enough, let me step back a bit, and then I'll reset and open the guy up for the next onslaught. Whereas with Vargas, I get the feeling that he's going to have to commit or not commit. There's no in between. He's going to have to really make the effort if he really wants to stay in or out. And I think that movement, that that movement advantage of Pacquiao is really going to play off in this fight. I think that's what's really going to win him the fight at the end of the day. And whereas I feel like Vargas needs to be the guy who pushes the inside game and pushes the aggression, I feel like Pacquiao is the more equipped guy to actually do that, despite his size disadvantage. And couple that with his hand speed, I still think he's quicker than Vargas. And the foot speed, I think it's just going to be a bit of an overwhelming advantage in the end for Vargas. And I think we're going to see a decision victory for Manny Pacquiao. And I think in the end, it might turn into a pretty consummate performance by him. He's got to be careful. Pacquiao's been caught in the past, as we know, and Vargas, although he's not, I wouldn't say renowned as a puncher, and his knockout ratio doesn't suggest he's a particularly big puncher, I think that he can catch you definitely with some heavy hooks and some stinging shots. He can, when he does employ the jab, he can actually throw quite a stinging jab. So it's something that he needs to use a bit more in this fight, is that jab, to try and offset Pacquiao's movement and his. But then again, Pacquiao has really good lateral movement. He comes in from different angles. He's a difficult guy to pin down. And despite the size advantage, you've seen what he's done in the past against guys like Antonio Margarito, who had the height and reach advantage over him. And there is, I'd say Vargas is more skilled than Margarito in my opinion. But that's my take on the fight. I think that, just to recap, pretty competitive fight, but I think that Pacquiao's movement and his energy in the ring will make him certainly look like the more active fighter and the guy who is landing the better work. He's producing the better work. I think that as the fight goes on, it might kind of get to Vargas in a way. I think that he will kind of not have a plan B, and that when Pacquiao starts taking over the fight and starts dictating the pace and starts going into his zone and the fight's at his distance, his pace, and he starts looking comfortable. When Pacquiao starts looking comfortable in the ring, he starts throwing good combinations, starts getting that air of confidence just oozes through him in the way he fights. It's not like an outward emotion in his face, but it's kind of like the way he fights. You can tell he just starts getting more aggressive. He seems just to pick up his game the more confident he gets. Something with Pacquiao is he's done throughout his career, he's really capitalised. He's one of these fighters who really capitalises on gain and advantage. When things start going his way, rather than, some fighters are still cautious despite them getting a lot of success. Pacquiao's not that guy. Pacquiao really builds on that confidence. He grows within that confidence. You give him success in the fight and he will run away with it very, very quickly if you're not extremely careful. And I think that might be what happens with this fight the later it goes. So Vargas is the younger guy. He's the guy who, on the contrary to what I'm saying, you would think would have the energy, but I don't think that's going to work in his favour in this fight. I'm picking Manny Pacquiao by decision. Let me know what you think. Do you think I'm underplaying Vargas? Do you think he takes this fight? Do you think, and if so, why do you think he takes the fight? What am I not seeing that you are? So thanks for your comments in advance. Thanks for watching. This is Boxbed. I'm out.